You're listening to Maximum Medicine Radio with host Doc Martin. Stay tuned in or call in. You won't want to miss what's happening next. How do you step into your maximum potential? How do you connect your spiritual drive with your physical path? Stick around as Doc Martin takes listeners on a journey through the seen and unseen, the accepted and the unbelievable. Get ready to meet the maximum you the world needs on Maximum Medicine Radio with Doc Martin now. Hi, everybody. I'm Doc Martin, Maximum Medicine. I have a wonderful guest here with us tonight, and I'll introduce her in just a minute. But I want to take a couple of minutes to talk about the wide range of emotions that are going on as we're one day post-election day. I've heard everything from thank you, Lord Jesus, we're saved now, to oh no, how am I going to make it? I got to leave the country. Let's talk about the good things that are going on. First of all, people voted, people cared, people showed their opinions. I've lived overseas most of my life in many different countries, and I'm often struck by how little we all recognize as Americans of the beauty of the things that we are privileged to have. And our vote is one of them. Our democracy is a sweet, sweet idea that I personally think was spiritually downloaded to our founding fathers. And it has the highest ideals. And so when you go and vote, whether I agree with you or your neighbor agrees with you, doesn't matter. You are showing your commitment to our democracy, to our community. And so for the next time, don't panic and maybe don't gloat. We're all in this together. We can work together. We are incredible human beings and we can overcome so many disadvantages and challenges. So thank you all for those of you who voted. Thank you for caring, and let's just join together. And that's anyway. So going forward, the things that I love the most and what my show's all about is ways of healing, ways that we may not have thought about that are outside perhaps of mainstream medicine. And my guest today is right up that alley. I have with me Dr. Randi Shannon. She is a naturopath. And you may have known, naturopaths approach illness in many ways, but she has honed it down to really focusing on hair, nails, and tongue analysis, which is used sometimes in Ayurvedic. But I'm going to have her tell us all about that. So, Randi, thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And it is an exciting time in our country, especially when it comes to healthcare. That's the part where I get the most excited. And I do look at the face, fingernails, tongue, other marks of concern on the body. This is 5,000-year-old original medicine. So it's been around for a long time and it's never been debunked. They would literally have to shut down the entire Eastern medicine side to healthcare, and that's never going to happen. So yeah, I love what I do. It's very interesting. It's very unique. There's not very many people that do it to the degree that I do it. So it makes it fun.
And how did you move into that?
Actually, the first tongue analysis I had was when I was a kid, and I went to a doctor somewhere around probably 8, 9, 10 years of age. And instead of him putting the popsicle stick to the back of my tongue, looking at my tonsils, which is what most of them do, this one put it at the tip of my tongue and held it there. Your tongue's always trying to get out of that. It's very hard to be held. And, I was there for a reason. I was having UTIs, urinary tract infections. And my mom couldn't figure out, why is this still happening? There wasn't a hygiene issue. And when he looked at my tongue, he said, is she getting a lot of sugar? And he was asking a series of other questions, but he had seen something. And so from that, we then changed my whole diet. And I never had another one. And today I'm 56. That's a lot of years. Never had another one. And it was those changes in the diet that stopped all, because as a kid, I'm not sure where you are age wise, but me being
Mhm.
56, we had a candy store. They were like, if you had 2 nickels in your pocket, you could clean up in that store. Everything was like a penny, 2 pennies, 4 cents max, and you walked out of there with pockets full of stuff if you had a quarter. And so we had Kool-Aid, we had all the soda machines. Soda pop was kind of a big deal
Oh,
then.
and those fizzy sticks
Yes, yeah,
and those wax lips with the
yeah.
sugar syrup in them.
Rock candy, remember that one? I mean, it was just pure
Jawbreakers.
jawbreakers, you name it. We had it. And so that all was removed from my diet. And so after that, the sugar, there was no sugar. It was just out. My grandma had a big candy jar. I did not get into it. That moved into as I grew up, still to this day, I don't drink soda. I have no taste for it whatsoever. If I have it, to me, it tastes like a thick syrup. I don't understand how someone can drink a Mountain Dew or a Pepsi or any of that. It's just very thick
Mhm.
to someone who's not getting that kind of sugar. Now I'll
But
eat a
he saw
blueberry.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
he saw it by looking at your tongue.
Yeah. And so that was my first
Mhm.
experience. And then when I went to school for naturopathic medicine to be a naturopathic doctor, it came up again. And I did not know I was going to, hit into that. And so when it came time for clinicals and I did my clinicals, I chose to go that route because I loved it and I was good at it. And I just found it absolutely fascinating that we could see what was going on in the organs of the body from that. And so I just took it and ran with it. And then I actually worked all over this country. I worked for very specific doctors, one in particular that was known for that, and he's since retired. But he was known for the tongue in his area. And so I went and worked with him for a while. And every single client that came in, he just said, "Can you stick out your tongue for Dr. Shannon?" Already was a doctor at the time, and every single person did it, and they thought it was crazy, but they loved it and they got better. So yeah, it's an
So
amazing way.
just tell me a little bit more detail. When you look at the tongue, what are you looking for? Are there certain, is it graphed out in your mind of certain
Mhm.
areas, front?
Yeah. And if you're, hopefully we're all still connected because you went away for a second. But yeah, if the tongue has cracks or crevices or spots or discolorations, could be white, yellow, brown, even black. I've seen black on plenty of tongues. If there's bulging veins, if there's waviness at anywhere or enlargement in the tongue, all of those things are your body screaming out saying, "Help me, pay attention. And if you don't, I'm going to put a mark on your face or in your fingernails." That's next. And the ones that land on the face, they become permanent. And people will go, there's a whole industry where women, men go, mainly women, go get Botox and Dysport and fillers and all these things in their face, and they're covering up the scene of the crime, which is, hey, there's an organ that's in trouble and you need to help it. And instead, they inject something in there to puff it up or disguise it and freeze the face, etc. And they're missing the boat. It was really an organ that needed help.
And then you said the tongue is first and then the nails?
Yeah, I look at all of it, but yeah,
Uh-huh.
there very well could be signs already in the fingernails as they are in the tongue. It's just the lines that become permanent on the face. Any kind of a line that appears on the face, it's gonna be very hard to get that off naturally. Now, I do a natural facelift with my clients where you're not getting the Botox or the Dysport. There's a reason why I don't like those fillers. Some of them are permanent, but then others have 5% human blood in them, and people don't think about that. You're getting somebody's random human blood. 5% in those Botoxes and Dysports.
That doesn't sound like fun.
No, and you don't know where it's coming from. You don't, and if you're somebody who didn't want to take the jab or didn't, agree with that, you're still putting that in and you're still getting that unclean blood that somebody donated. Who donated it? Do you want that?
Mhm, mhm.
I know
That
I don't.
didn't sound very good.
No. So so yeah, when it gets to the face, we can do things to help turn back the clock, but we definitely focus in on the organs and get them the help, the TLC that they need. And then people feel better.
So you actually wrote a book, a children's book about the tongue. Tell us about that.
I did because I come across all these adults that like we have a tongue and nobody looks at it. Isn't that funny? We brush our teeth and we probably see our tongue every day, but nobody pays attention. So this book was geared towards children. And I have kids from all ages, where their parents or grandparents or clients of mine, whatever, and they'll send me photos. So I've seen from little kids being read the book to 8, 9, 10-year-olds that are reading the book on their own. And they'll send me pictures holding up the book with their tongues out. It starts out about animals because children are enamored with animals. So we look at the tongues of various animals and I'm bringing awareness to them. Hey, there's a tongue in the body. And then at the end of the book, after going through and seeing all these crazy tongues of different animals, then I encourage them to go look in the mirror and take a look at their own. So it does make a great gift. And it's fun. It's a stocking stuffer. It's little, it's light, but it's about bringing awareness. So
And you can get that, people could get that on Amazon.
yeah, if they just go look up Randi Shannon and Tongue Tales on Amazon, it did become a bestseller on Amazon. And so that I'm very proud of. It was my first real book that I put out there. I have several others ready to go, but for that one, it's just, to me, it's endearing because it's a children's book and everybody who's got it, loves it and says amazing things about it. So
And now you're working or you have worked on a cookbook.
yes, that's like almost finished. It's literally just a couple edits and it's ready to go. And then I have more of one that's on the spiritual side, uh, kind of encouraging people to walk in the power that they were born with.
Mhm.
And it gives a layout, kind of like a 30-day plan of what to do and how to walk in that power to have the success and the successes, not necessarily, success for everybody is not money or being at the
Mhm.
top of a career, but it's successes in everything in your particular life. Are you doing this? Are you doing this? The exercise, staying in shape, or the food. There's certain
So
things
the
that we
kinds of things you would counsel your clients on.
yes, yeah.
Mhm.
So that's and that's another one that's like really ready to go. It's been done. It's in its last, just a couple of things in the
Mhm.
very back end and it's ready to go.
Well,
So,
give us a teaser of a recipe that's in your cookbook.
well, you can go every direction. I'll tell you certain things that the whole cookbook is based around my good and bad food list. We'll say it like that.
Mhm.
So there are things that you absolutely should never eat, and every single recipe is based around recipes that won't have that in it. But our whole life, we've been used to having things. So no wheat, barley, no rye, no oats, no buckwheat, no fried foods, no processed meats in any of my recipes, no oils, nothing whatsoever cooked in any oil. And the reason that, I have that and centered every single recipe that's in this book around not having those things is because those oils in particular will clog your veins, arteries, or capillaries, all your blood vessels. And, the number one cause of death in this country is heart disease. And so I wanted a recipe book that helped to give you life and longevity. And so that's kind of the way every recipe, there's soups, there's a lot of cottage cheese dishes for people that, want to lose weight. There's protein dishes. It's very good. It's very healthy, all the way through. So, and it doesn't have any of those things that will shorten your life.
So clean living.
Very clean. And it's easy to do. People think it's not hard. I love bread. Great. I do too. There's ways to eat bread. We've just kind of been brainwashed to think that it's always wheat in how we should eat. We all grew up on Wonder white bread. Well, that's bleached. You don't want to have bleached flour in your body. You want to have clean things.
I just remember Wonder Bread is what we would take when we went to the creek and rolled it up in a dough ball and put it on the hook and caught carp.
It stuck so good, right?
Yeah, and it would, yeah.
Yeah. And then a Kraft cheese and bologna, like those were the sandwiches when we were kids. So at least it was in my house. And I look back at that and go, wow, how did we survive that? But we all get through it, and then you just got to clean yourself up when you know it and figure it all out. So, yeah.
So your website is The Body Can. Tell me what your thinking is behind that.
I like to say it, and the whole logo is going to change, but the body and then CAN all in capital letters. Why is it that way? Because the body can heal itself if it's given the right sustenance. The human body needs 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, and 3 essential fatty acids every single day, even if you're just kind of a couch potato, not really moving around. And if we don't get those things, then the body can't. But if it gets them, the body can. We're capable of doing all kinds of things, including reversal of, the so-called 1,000 plus incurables. They actually are reversible. It's just kind of the big medicine, because there's so much more money in drugs than there is in nutrients and supplements. But at the end of the day, the food is depleted, the ground is depleted, and so we don't get a ton in that. So we do have to supplement. So every day I'm taking, my nutrients that kind of always around me in my office. My drinks have different things in them. This is kind of one of the facelifts in a bottle. I drink these things. I encourage my clients to do them so that you can just be healthy. Who wants to go into their 50s and 60s and 70s and have pains and aches? I know I don't. There was a study done, and it was done with cats. And they took all these healthy cats and they put them in 2 separate rooms. And one of the rooms, they fed them raw milk, and the other one, they fed them pasteurized. So this is just one example of what's been done to our food supply. The cats that drank the pasteurized milk, they developed arthritis. They lost their inquisitiveness, their playfulness, their wanting to jump up and down, and they just kind of became afraid of their own shadows. And the other ones that were on the raw milk were very healthy, and they were the exact opposite of that. So it matters what we put in our body, because our body's going to respond one way or another. And anything that goes wrong with us, or anything that I see in a face, tongue, fingernail analysis, is a result of a decision that you either are still making today, or even something that you decided in the past. And so it's still rearing its ugly head, and the body still has to be repaired from that, whatever that may have been.
So in our last few, what would you tell us things you would
The question
to
here
clients? What are three main things
that I would tell what you cut out just a little bit.
that you might say to a client? Like, what is top on your list to help them shift or change or don't do?
Okay, so people will come to me with every kind of ailment under the sun. And if you saw the things that I saw on their faces, fingernails, tongues, even on the body, you would be blown away and shocked, or at least the audience would. Maybe you see those kinds of things.
Mhm.
But, to sit at home and suffer, number one, don't. And I know healthcare itself, like traditional healthcare, we're at a tipping point in this country with that. It's very expensive. In July, 41% of all small business owners were late or couldn't even pay their rent. So I understand that that's totally unaffordable. And the thing is they're just going to give you a drug. I would say hire me, and you don't have to come to Florida. All of my clients send me pictures. I do everything through the phone and through the computer, everything. So I have clients in 50 states and 18 countries. Nobody comes here to see me. We do it all virtually. So that's not an excuse. And I highly suggest everybody reach out to me, or, if they know somebody who does what I do. But it's rare, and I'm really good. And then I definitely go over a good and bad food list. I have them fill out a 3-page report telling me certain things. But what's interesting is I have them send me the photos. They'll send me the report, and I don't read what's wrong with them. Even when I do a tongue analysis, like live in the moment, I had a client, get one of those today. And I said, I haven't read anything you've written. I like to tell you what I see first. Then you can fill in the blanks for me. So if I see hormone out, they're going to tell me later, and I'll tell them, what I see, why I, say it's this or that. And then they'll say, yeah, I've not had my cycle for over a year. And that's what happened today. The woman was 20 years old and hasn't had a cycle for 12 straight months. And I could see on her tongue that the hormones were super wackadoodle. And that's okay. We'll get her better and we'll bring that cycle back. It's not gone forever. And that's the thing that people need to understand. Most everything, from my experience, is completely reversible. Might take 4 months, might take 6 months, and certain things, if it's like really bad, it might take a year or so. But in my experience, most every single thing that's out there, those 1,000 so-called incurables, are all reversible. And so I give them hope. And they should have hope. That's where
So
yeah.
tell our listeners, we're going to be closing now. Tell our listeners how they can connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So if they're hearing this, they can call the toll-free line, or they can go to the website, 844-275-1056, 844-275-1056, or the website is thebodycan.com. That's the main site. And if they want to schedule, thebodycan.com/schedule. I made it super easy. So thebodycan.com, because it can. It really can.
Randi, that's wonderful. Thank you. And we need that kind of clean living, getting
Yes.
back to those basics that can give our body what it needs to repair, to rejuvenate, to live long and healthy. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you
And
so
to our
much.
listeners, this is Randi Shannon. Contact her through thebodycan.com and schedule with her. Again, it can be remote, so you don't have to go to the Florida area. So you can be anywhere. Just
Love it.
watch your time zone. And then for our listeners, we're going to close up here with the live portion. And next is going to be a meditation. So deepen in, don't be driving, please. So we can kind of calm the emotions that we've gone through the last few months, maybe years. And just everybody remember, we are in this together. We can. Randi, thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Good night. You've been listening to Maximum Medicine Radio with Doc Martin.
Tune in next time while the doc talks health, spirituality, and the impact your beliefs have on every part of who you are, body and soul. Doc Martin unpacks the challenges we face as human beings and teaches callers to open the door between the scientific and the mystical. To learn more about Doc Martin and Maximum Medicine, visit www.sharonmartinmd.com.